This is Floral City. It's a place where you can relax and just be exactly who you are. There are no dress codes here. There's no status quos to stress you out. It's actually like stepping back into yesterday. Trees blowing in the breeze, the flowers on the porch boxes of the historic homes, and our come on in attitude and friendliness make this place of Floral City graceful, laid back, and beautiful. It's a hidden treasure of Florida's nature coast. Here in Floral City, we might be a small town, but we have old things to new things, barbecue to beauty, flowers to fishing, rails to trails, and fine arts to frog legs. We've got just a little bit of everything here in Floral City. It's our historic country culture. Welcome back, friends, to Floral City, the real old Florida. I'm really glad you could join us again today, and I think that by the end of the show, you will be too. We find ourselves again on the Withlacoochee State Rails to Trails, coming through Floral City as we do. And as we're walking, and I was walking over here the other day, and I'm looking at the old field here by Ferris Groves where we used to have the Strawberry Festival, and the very first ones were here. And it kind of made me stop and remember and reminisce and think about the community builders, not just the people. Every town has people and residents, and of which we are all very important, each one of us with our own special talents and gifts that we bring to this place that we like to call home. Whether we're born here or whether we're transplanted, our talents are still very much wanted and needed. But then you find some people that the status quo of their job just isn't enough for them. They want to make a living, and they want to make a community in the family, in the place they live. And so they do things to promote others along with themselves. Doc Ferris is one. He was a visionary, he was a giver and a promoter. He gave many things to this town of Floral City and to its people here. He gave a fire truck that was the very first fire truck that we had here, and he was so giddy to give it to everyone here. It was one of his dreams. And so that led into a volunteer fire department that still to this day consists and helps to aid in the safety and the well-being of our community. As I'm looking here at the field, it wasn't just Doc Ferris, it was Martha Burns. She's the one that had the vision for the first Strawberry Festival we had here in Floral City, and all of it took place right here. It wasn't just a job for her, it was something else. It was a way to promote the community. Ralph and Shorty Bedford were another couple of very much community builders here that made it. It wasn't just their job of being a volunteer firefighter, it was their life, because they cared about Floral City and they did what they could to help and leave legacies. So today we're going to visit some of these community builders. We're going to speak to Martha Burns in person, who happens to be my mother, and I am honored and grateful that we get to talk to her today. We're also going to go down and visit with the fire department here in Floral City and see what used to be just a ragtag group of very concerned and dedicated individuals to make a volunteer fire department, and a gentleman who wanted to buy a fire truck and give it to his town, what that has meant and what that is today. All these legacies that have started between the Strawberry Festivals, the volunteer firemen, and the community that were built here are still here today. Today, we're going to be looking at some of those legacies and the people who started them. This is an episode today, friends, on community builders. So come along and join us. You won't be disappointed. Okay, friends, now by the magic of television, we find ourselves here at Aunt Martha's Produce Market, and it is my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you Aunt Martha Burns, who happens to be my mother. Hey, Ma, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm glad that we could finally sit down and talk like this on the show together.
We finally get a chance to talk with each other.
I know, we don't get to very often, do we? Well, I've been telling everybody and our friends and everything with the Strawberry Festival that was here this last month. It has become such a big conglomeration, but it really started with just an idea. Can you give us like your little story on how it started?
Actually, you have to go back to the freeze of Christmas of '83, in January of '84 when all the trees were wiped out in Citrus County, and something had to be planted out there, so they decided to put part trees, citrus trees, and go with strawberries. The general manager at that time was a man by the name of Jim Fenton, and he had wonderful ideas, and this was one of them, and they started with, I believe, 25 acres of strawberries. So after a couple years, they decided we needed to promote those strawberries a little bit more. Let's have a strawberry festival, he said. So myself and Linda Reiling, who was secretary at Ferris at that time, was in charge of putting all this together. Well, I think God knew that we had no idea what we were doing, because he sort of stepped in and took over, and things seemed to fall into place. We went and talked to Jerry Mulligan, who was editor of the Chronicle, thinking we were going to have to come up with a lot of money, but Jerry said, "What do you want?" And I told him what we wanted, and he said, "Okay." From that point on, the bank stepped in and offered gifts and things to give out for free drawings. Everybody just seemed to take part.
The community just kind of came together, and
It sure did. Well, Floral City's always been like that anyway.
yeah, everybody just kind of comes together.
They sure did.
We've been talking today about community builders, and I, of course, think that you are a community builder, and a lot of people in Floral City do. What is it about not just having a job, but it seems that the community builders we know didn't just make it a job, they took their job and then they added their talents to it and kind of made it their own adventure. What made you want to do something extra besides just go to work, clock in, and leave?
I think it's the customers that come in, and you get to know the customers. You want to please them. You want to make sure they get a good quality when they're buying something, and eventually they become like family. They bring their grandkids in to meet you. They tell you when there's a wedding in the family.
Yeah.
And I think it's the people that do that.
It is. It is. Now, when we had the first Strawberry Festival, it wasn't near the size and everything that it is now. It was, and I always say we like it was my own personal, but now you know why. We had lots of stuff that was just a family-friendly, down-home country festival. The firemen did the tug of war at the end, and we just had a big pile of sand with change and stuff in it for the kids to go through. What were some of those things that people really seemed to enjoy that didn't cost a lot of money, but they enjoyed them when they came to the festival?
Well, there were certain goals set up when we started the festival. One thing, it was going to be an old-fashioned festival. Everything there, even the craftspeople, would have to have at least one item with a strawberry on it. Mm-hmm. The whole thing was strawberry. Mm-hmm. They had a basket toss in which they tossed strawberries in the baskets instead of balls.
Yeah, kids' games, lots of kids' games.
There were pie eating contests, so if anybody didn't have money and they wanted some strawberry pie, join in the pie eating contest. Mm-hmm. And all of the media joined in. I mean, right away, we ended up having a whipped cream battle of the media. I think at that time there were 3 newspapers, 2 radio stations.
And the Manatee Festival Queen for 1991.
Yes.
I lost the
Yes.
whipped cream battle, I remember.
Another one was just to make sure there was something there that everybody could have a good time. Whether you were 9 or 90, you could have a good time while you were there. We knew that there was things to keep the kids busy, the parents were going to stay, and it was to be an all-day thing, and it ended up being an all-day thing.
And you had Hampton Dunn was your Man of the Year. You gave away different awards and things, and rather than a little strawberry princess, you had the Mr. and Mrs. King and Queen that were the senior, I guess you'd call it.
That's what we did.
Mm-hmm. And it made everybody in the community, in my opinion, feel important. Everybody had a chance to work it and do it.
And you know how important it was. The man that was chosen for king called all of his family from down in South Florida and they all came to see him be crowned king.
Yes.
He was very special.
All the friends of mine that worked there, still to this day, those are some of the best memories that they had, was all of us working together at the festival. So what does it feel? We can't ask like Doc Ferris and things now because those legacy leavers and builders have gone. What does it feel like to start something that was just a little idea in your head and see now today what it's grown into?
Well, I wish we could have kept it in the field where it was, but that was not possible. The cemetery kept filling up as people died. We couldn't use that for parking. Rails to Trails came along. We couldn't use the old railroad for parking. So it's great to see that they have kept it here in Floral City. It's great to see we have a strawberry festival going on. it's great to see the people coming into town and say, what a great town.
Yep. And like you said, people move into town and they say, oh, you said you're going to love it here. And they say, we already do.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
This place has a spirit, and you have added to that spirit.
And even when they were leaving the festival, a family of 10 could come with $10, and as they were leaving, you'd hear them say, man, this was great. I can hardly wait till next year.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking your time today to sit here with me and talk to my friends, and
My
I
privilege.
appreciate it.
My privilege.
And thank you so much for all that you do for Floral City.
Thank you.
Thank you.